I'm Mr. James.
And I'm Mr. Richie.
And
we are the Educators.
Season 3! Hold up the ties. We've got the ties. Yay. Season 3. We are back in school. It is not Thursday. It is a Saturday. We recorded this on Thursday. And yeah.
Some glitches happened.
Both of our mouths were moving and there was no talking, and then there would be talking when we were not. So some audio visual problems. Today is actually Saturday. It is the 29th of August, 2020, the worst year of our adult lives.
Yep. We're still in the middle of it, right? In the middle of a global pandemic.
Yeah. Horrible.
Yeah, and I did have to adjust the numbers for today because the numbers I had put up were from a few days ago. Now, these numbers are from Google, and Google doesn't pull from today's statistics. It's from yesterday and the week before. So in the world, unfortunately, the number is up from just a couple days ago from from Thursday, our Thursday attempt. 1,763,645 new cases in the world. The United States has 283,886, and the state of Maine 151. But that does not include the additional. I think you said there was like 50 from today.
53 today.
Yeah,
which is double what we're normally seeing daily.
Yeah, we usually get like 20, 25, 30 maybe, and a lot of this is from one single event. And which is interesting is that in the news, Maine had done really, really well for keeping exposure, like having single event exposures like concerts and parties or things like that. We've done really, really well for the most of the 6 months here during the pandemic. And then one wedding of a young couple, I don't know, specifically what it was, but a young couple is what they said in the news. And over 123 infections. On Thursday, when we did our attempt, it was 60. Doubled. The number has doubled since just a couple of days ago from this one single event. And so the infection has spread from the wedding, which was in Millinocket, I think, which is
that's right. Yeah.
High up in Maine. So Maine is really big. It's a really big state. Way up northern Maine. Northern Mainers would be disappointed that I called that northern Maine, I think. But like Millinocket. So that's where the event was. And it has spread to a jail in York County, which is 240 miles away, and has spread to a rehabilitation home 100 miles away. And plus all kinds of other places. There are secondary and tertiary infections where the person that got it from the event gave it to another person who gave it to another person. Like it's
must have been quite a party, not only just for the spread, but the fact that somebody went to jail and somebody had to go to rehabilitation.
Yeah.
that shouldn't be funny, but I mean, it's a wedding, it's a party, but it went that far away. It's just like, wow. Okay. Yeah. I know people get invited from, but I don't think I'd even play music at a wedding in Millinocket. That would be such a drive.
Millinocket is a ways away. Yeah. I haven't been there in a very long time, but like northern Maine is like 200 or more miles even further than that. But it made its way pretty quickly. It was quite immediately after the wedding that the jail and the rehabilitation home were in the news. And it's only been like a week, maybe 2 since this happened. It's
just like every day they go, we've linked this other thing to that. We've linked this other thing to that. And my other big concern too, and this is something else that I kind of heard the news, is that they've had a few people around the world that have originally been infected and now got reinfected, and they had the infection before, and their reinfection is worse, and it's a different strain.
Oh, interesting.
So there was someone in Hong Kong, and then there's somebody right now, I think in Nebraska or something like that, out west. But a different strain, which is is this meaning the second wave,
Right. I am.
meaning a different strain, or it's mutating now, and it's going to probably, if it mutates faster than like the flu virus mutates.
Yeah. Well,
This is
on the Bill Nye podcast that I had mentioned, I think probably the last couple of episodes,
yeah.
that particular, I can't remember if it was a virologist or epidemiologist, but that specific person said that it actually mutates far slower than a lot of things.
Yeah.
However, I don't know of the scale, I don't know what the spectrum of is, and mutating at all is kind of unfortunate and scary. So that's pretty interesting. I know that we've been speculating about mutations for a while, and it makes sense. Just we let it run rampant, and eventually it's going to change, and that's just what these things do. That's how they survive. So here we are. It's changing. That's crazy.
I know it's like,
worse.
This is such a horrible thing. I mean, we were talking the other day in the school about, because we're back at school, everybody out there, we're back. We've had a week of workshops. We've had everything change for us every single day. It's been, you're on a cart, now you're not on a cart, now you can use your room. Now you're teaching this many classes, now we're going to double that, now we're going to double that number. It went from 3, now we're doing 12 basically classes a week. Or every 3 weeks, and then changing
it literally
things,
it grew exponentially. It was on Monday it was 3, on like Wednesday it was 6, and by Friday it was 12. I'm just like, all right, well, as long as it stays at 12, I don't need to. And
it's just that whole thing. It keeps happening, all these different changes. So a lot of teachers are, really stressed right now. Some retailers, I looked online, and they said as far as retail sales to teachers, everything's booming like crazy because teachers are buying extra, and they're buying things they normally wouldn't buy because they're in fear that they might need that, for when things happen. And it's like, I can't imagine things that we normally wouldn't have to buy now that are being bought. Schools are buying huge bins full of things. We need to have double this amount of masks, double this amount of bleach wipes, double this amount of this and that, just to get ready. And orders are being backed up, and orders are being sent back. And on the news, Chromebooks person's Chromebook exploded, and I think Chromebooks are in such demand now. They're being made probably so fast that some of them, there's maybe a step was skipped, or someone wasn't thinking when they were making it, or
someone gets tired at the machine.
Yeah, that's
operating.
It's just like,
Well, that's interesting. Well, I mean, I think that even on top of like cleaning supplies and things like that, for me, my STEM classroom is very material dependent, and so we're lucky. You and I, we have 3 weeks to prepare. Beyond what we do on our own, of course, we've been preparing for months, but officially in our classrooms preparing, we had the last week. We usually get more time than that, but I think, I don't know, everything kind of timed out interesting, but I mean, more time than just 1 week. But instead of starting Monday, we get an extra 2 weeks, and we're going to put them to good work, to good use. But during this last week, I was able to get all of my online training out of the way. And this is the week I get to really think about my curriculum. And I've been putting it off out of my mind for a while, but this is the week that I'm going to really dig down and go, wow, I'm going to need, instead of 6, 1 per table, 6 groupings of this type of material for this project. I'm going to need 12 because it's going to be individual. Per class.
Wow.
And out of my 14 classes, that grows exponentially. So I bet a lot of teachers are kind of facing the same thing, especially if they're UA teachers, art teachers, music teachers. We can't just put the ukulele back on the rack and the next group comes in, grabs it's an interesting time. And unfortunately, man, this has been great for the market, capitalism in general. Just in order for us to do our jobs, we have to double, triple, quadruple sometimes the amount of things that we're purchasing. And I bet there's a lot of marketing happening, and a lot of people are making a lot of money because we're stepping up. And I think that teachers are doing a great job. We're stepping up. Some, obviously more than others. Some are more prepared, some are not. But we're doing a good job in general, stepping up. We're gonna do the best. But I did have one thing happen today where I'm bringing my 3D printer back into the classroom, and I was going to bring I tell the kids, the robotic garden, which is an arrow garden, which like an automated little herb garden. And I was getting ready to bring it back into the classroom on Monday, and I stopped and I was like, I don't want to be right in the middle of a grow and then have to bring it home again, which is what I had to do because it's full of water, and if I put it in the car, I got to make sure I don't hit the corner too fast. But I was just like, you know what? We might just go back remote again. So
well, you have this growth right now, which is happening. I don't really like it. I think if it gets to 100 a day, it's going to put the halt on everything.
Oh, it's absolutely, because we are one of the more populous counties, so it's not going to be long before it spreads to us.
Speaking about marketing, before we switch over to some science news, which is new in season 3,
that's right.
We're going to do these 10-minute segments now. We're going to streamline this podcast, vlogcast. But marketing, as everyone knows who's seen the last podcast, when I was trying to beta test a new camera that didn't always work correctly. I'm back to the old one right now. I've been getting marketing schemes or whatever in social media nonstop to buy a product, send us your PayPal, email, and we'll send you the money. And I've done this on 2 items, and I didn't give any very specifics about my email basically, and we find my PayPal account and the fact that I bought something on Amazon. But I'm getting every 3rd post on Facebook or Instagram is one of these products. Everything from personal massagers to ring lights, something that I bought that we've already played around with that is awesome, to batteries, electric toothbrush. I mean, everything. They want to promote everything, and I don't know what to expect out of this stuff. So
now, what I did is I have disabled my ad settings, so it doesn't. It actually just advertises things that I would never want to me all the time, and it's just easier to scroll by.
Yeah. Now I'm just figuring, if this doesn't work, obviously I got to tell the company or whatever entity that, like, hey, guess what? It's being sent back to Amazon, and you're going to be reported. Not that they will really care, but yeah.
It's a numbers game. There's enough people complain, something's going to happen.
Crazy. Well, we have different segments now in the show. A new segment, which we'd like to do, which is Science in the News.
That's right.
And we're going to try to break segments up into 10-minute segments, and at the end have a 5-minute wrap-up and kind of streamline everything. And hopefully a lot of changes coming up.
I can't wait till we have the capability to all of a sudden, all right, section 2, it's science news, and there's like a 15-second ba 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 ba.
I could still edit this.
All right. But yeah, so one of the first things we wanted to talk about was cybersecurity, really. So good old-fashioned styled hacking, or an attempted hack of Tesla. So Tesla Motor Company. So California company, owned, or the CEO at least is of Elon Musk. And it turned out that there was a Russian provocateur. I don't know what you call him. Russian. Is it a spy? I don't know if it was linked to the Kremlin or not, but a Russian national who had bought a bunch of things and paid for some fun night outs with the employee, and offered lots of money if they downloaded malware. They downloaded malware onto a Tesla computer. And that is like some old-fashioned type spy novel stuff right there. That's not even like any of the new fashion trying to get you via the internet, via email. But yeah, so the employee luckily was a good employee. obviously took the night out and then was
Yeah.
like, all right, yeah, thanks, I'll get back to you on that, and sent the FBI his way. And so that's how we've heard about it. And so and Elon Musk has reported that it's serious. It was serious. Like the malware involved was something that was going to be really impactful. So great, good on that Tesla employee for being a good employee and potentially saving an entire company right there.
I feel like this is the exact same. So I used to work with a lot of pharmacists. I was a pharmacy technician for 9 years plus, but the pharmacists in school are taken out on big dinners and done all this stuff just so they can basically go to work at say a Rite Aid or a Walmart or whatever. And doctors will still will be taken out by drug reps, and drug reps will take out pharmacists as well. So they say, lobbying, maybe you can convince this doctor to start writing more for this certain drug. And I just feel it's almost like the exact same thing here. It's just someone trying to get information or trying to screw over the other guy, basically. And it's,
it's and it was really interesting. I'm glad to hear that it worked out good, because that would have been devastating. And I'm actually a pretty big electric vehicle fan, whether it's Tesla, anybody, Nissan, Chevy. I'm a pretty big EV fan, so I'm glad to hear that. But so then some health news. First person to fight HIV with their own immune system. So without needing, we don't know the 100% story. I'm sure that they were doing something, but their immune system itself successfully fought off the virus. Whatever they did, I can't wait to hear. We know that's going to be some pretty big news.
So they're going to be having their blood taken and such, and check on this and that. What do you have that other people need to have? And
an apple a day, like what is it? What's the secret?
Well, that's the thing. I think everyone's trying to get the secret of longevity and such. And we are going to I do a really big deep dive on some of the science behind a lot of this stuff pretty soon, because we really want to start talking about living in space and so many things that we've been sitting on for months now. But COVID-19, talking about the news of that and just the news of our lives having to go back to work. Hopefully, next few weeks we can get this thing settled and figure out what we're doing and
move forward.
On the future. Focus on futurism.
And that's a big part of this vlogcast, is that we're going to be talking about. We happened to just start this during a pandemic. We just happened to walk into this, and we did talk about it before the pandemic, and then it just perfect timing worked out now. But we are going to talk about some pretty futuristic stuff. So if you're here, we're going to talk about people living in space, and you're like, oh, what? That's so crazy. No, that's really like going to happen. That's actually down the pike, right now. And if you wanted to hear about some other crazy things, how about what was that Elon Musk news?
Yeah, so Elon Musk, the greatest thing, Elon Musk has got the best electric car in the world, possibly, helping with Tesla.
The best rocket.
Has batteries that you can have in your house. Tesla's got batteries you can have in your house that are amazing and can help you live off the grid if you can solar power charge them. Mm-hmm. Also, great, rockets.
The best rockets in the world right now come from SpaceX, and they're 25% the cost of comparable rockets, which is just.
And now he's putting a brain chip that he's been talking about, I think, for years. He put a Neuralink, he calls it, brain chip, in a pig, and it's working.
Now, did you read? So I saw the headline on this. Did you read the article?
I remember him talking about that, and then he mentioned how a short surgery could help you with that, and it does things. So basically, I wouldn't need a mouse right now. I could just eye track it. But that's something I think we can do already. I had one of those Neuralink sort of, you can put right here and had something on it, clip it onto your earlobe. It was some weird thing, I guess, for your pulse. But you could look around the screen and move a ball around the screen. Didn't have more than that, but
I had heard, that they're focusing on repairing like neural damage, and so I was hoping. Now, I gotta look this up because I'm curious if this pig demonstration, if it is solving a problem like that the pig had, like, because I thought that that was what they had talked about before, and that it would repair or attempt to help like someone who has trouble walking because of a neural damage thing or something. So I've really got to look into this some more, but still consider this. There's a computer linked into an animal's brain right now, and it is working. Whatever it's supposed to do, it's working. I think it's at least recording data, and they're able to interface with it with a computer, which right then and there, that's something new in the world. And
that's like literally having your phone in your pocket and you're looking things up in real time and just getting it images in your head rather than, I mean, maybe that's the way. I think it wouldn't probably go in, it'd probably be out. So you could probably visualize things and have it appear on your screen somehow.
Yeah. Well, it's limitless after they get the initial, once they figure out the pathways, then it's just off to the races. Like it's going to be like the internet. It's just going to be, what else can we do with this? And eventually human performance increases. And, you know,
crazy.
And it's not, this isn't science fiction anymore. Like we're able to do this stuff. We know things, you know, down to subatomic particle levels, and we're pretty comfortable with all this stuff that we know right now. So yeah, this stuff's only going to get even more popular as we keep going.
This is like what I talked about in transhumanism. Ray Kurzweil said, by 2045, we're going to reach the singularity where humans and machines meet and become, I mean, we're already linked with our technology already, but this is the point where artificial intelligence basically becomes self-aware. So it will exponentially grow, which could also mean the end of humanity because the machines won't want to deal with our irrational thoughts and emotions. They will just rationally run the world.
And that's part of the singularity, I think, right? Is that it's once you get to that part, you can't outthink the computer.
And this is what Elon Musk is scared of this. Yet look at what he's doing.
I think he's playing the game to outthink the computer. Like he's scared of it, so you know your enemies, you know, keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. And you know, he's got the money and the machines to build or buy anything that he wants. And so, you know, I'd probably be doing that too if I had his money.
The last thing we want to talk about, which was science of the news, which is something I think for us is pretty good because at being elementary educators, we always wonder how parents or even teachers, anyone who comes in contact with a child, can affect how their brain develops and stress response and how they deal with stress, because the stress of going to school or this horrible pandemic and the stress of just going through that and being at home. Some of them have horrible home lives. Mm-hmm. And this studies come out that says puberty may help repair the body's stress response. So basically, whatever they've gone through for stress, once they reach puberty, it may help repair how their body handles that stress if it continues or whatever stress they've had. I think of it almost like maybe it's not quite a reset button, but at least something to repay. It's almost like a therapeutic. Your body kind of repairs itself, I guess.
And at least there's a mechanism, a natural mechanism that helps. And then, of course, as long as you remove the negative stimulus, that will work for sure. You know, like obviously, if the stressor is happening as you're going through puberty, can it repair?
Yeah.
You know, perhaps not. But at least with this coronavirus thing, with the age group that we work with, if this is a new stressor, if there's other stressors in their life, at least this one can be repaired. Whatever they went through during this time, I feel like can be at least improved upon, one, through this natural mechanism, but two, with good guidance and teachers showing them how to be, you know, cognizant of their social emotional health and, you know, making the best out of what they can.
Something else. So section 3.
kind of already,
being back at school.
yeah, kind of a good segue. We're talking about the students. So yeah, back in school. What do you think about being back in school?
Well, honestly, like I thought, and I thought this just a few days ago, just finally seeing people again, teachers, and seeing the technicians and such, and just wanted to unload a bunch of mental sort of baggage from these past 6 months, 5.5 months away from school, and the mess we had to go through, and just, yeah. But people are leaving, people are getting changed, people are still highly anxious about what's going to happen. Job descriptions are being changed. I still don't know exactly, because I work at another school as well, and it's deemed important, but that school doesn't deem my job there important. But the person who's in charge of all the teachers says, no, it is important, and we're going to make it happen. But I've received nothing from that, because if I do that, I need someone to teach in my class for a number
Can't
of
be in two places at
classes.
one time.
It just, yeah. And I just thought the more changing between schools is probably not going to be a good thing. We're trying to make sure that we contact trace it's very low, basically, our footprint around while in school, basically. And who knows what's going to happen. So I think just like this week we've been dealing with, every day is going to be something new. We just kind of have to roll with it.
Every day.
I'll have a bank of stuff prepared, and if I teach this class, I teach this class. If I don't, whatever.
I'm glad personally to be back in the building. I'm a type of person that, like, I like to be in certain environments to do certain things, and my classroom, when I walk in, it inspires me to do more than I can do here, because there's so many other distractors around my house. Like, oh, that's dirty. Oh, I got to pick that up. I got to mow the lawn. I've got a bunch of projects at my house already. And so when I'm here, like, I'm doing a motor job in a car, I've got drones, I do rockets, I've got my daughter that I'm trying to include in all these things. And so when I'm at the classroom, I'm able to sort of forget about all that stuff and really have a separation. And so I really am glad to be back in the building. Is it perfect being in the building? No, I don't think so. Like, again, mask compliance with adults is going to be just as difficult as mask compliance with children, I think. And I knew this coming in. We thought about this long and knew exactly what was going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
It is exactly what I figured. But overall, I'm impressed. People are trying. People I was hoping would stay did. There's a few people I'm sad to see go.
Yeah.
And we've got a few changes, but we're gonna do all right, I think. But it's been basically just workshops and staring at a computer for me, and I'm glad to have most of it behind me. Again, this week I'm going to be more focusing on, like, curriculum. Now that I think I have the actual amount of sessions, then now I can do that part. And the third week I'm going to build my classrooms. So we have to do, so we have Google Classroom and Seesaw. And so I think that these are popular around the country. Lots of people are working on Google Classroom and Seesaw. I know my daughter goes to a different school, and I know that they actually had to just delay the opening of their school because planning period and Seesaw training hasn't been done. Like, I mean, not to the teachers weren't trying. It's just really hard to tie in classroom preparation, curriculum preparation. Seesaw it takes time, because in order to learn Seesaw, you basically have to learn Google Classroom, because you take a class through Google Classroom to learn Seesaw. It's just this crazy spiral, and everyone's doing their best. So they had to delay. But yeah, I mean, what do you think about those two platforms?
It's interesting, because if I take all the other teachers of music in the district, they are in love with Seesaw, even though our Seesaw, we are only using it K through 4th grade. So the other 5th and 6th have used Google Classroom for I guess, before, so that we're going to stick with that with them. Even though Seesaw looks promising, reminds me a lot of like Nearpod, some of these other programs that I was promoting in an earlier vlogcast.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about that. I'm excited to get on there and do things. It is going to be interesting because we mentioned this when we recorded this earlier in the week and stuff. We wanted to mention the person training us in Seesaw, because we worry about like compounding how complicated these programs can get when you don't keep up with the feedback you have to give students or the comments they make. The own trainer in a video had 1,200 unanswered comments. I just kind of like browsed through it, like, yeah, just, here's, you can see mine, it's got 1,200 comments. And what? Really? And it's telling you that. And to imagine, opening and having an email, an app on your phone that has that little kind of red dot with it lists a number of amount of emails you have, and having that say 1,200, and that's for like 2 or 3 days. So I can imagine that like doubling, tripling, like. So
I did a little bit of like quick back of the napkin math, and I think that you and I will see about approximately 140, 145 students in person per week. And then an additional, who knows, so I had averaged 160 to 175 students that we're going to be having to respond to per day, per week, 4 days a week. So, they could end up submitting something on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, or even Wednesday even. Yeah. So 5 days a week. And so any day of the week, each of those 160 students, 170 students could create a notification that we have to look up on. And if it's something like we have to send back that they want to work on again, then it just grows exponentially from there. And so it's for you and I specifically, or UA teachers. And if anyone out there, if you're a UA teacher, I'd love to hear from you. We are UA teachers. UA teachers have a very interesting role. Everything's different in every school, but UA teachers, there's something, it's a whole different ball of wax there. But yeah, so that's a lot of kids. It's a lot of notifications. Yeah. And when I saw that 1,200 notifications, she's just like you'd mentioned, she was laissez-faire about it. She's just like, yeah, there's the notifications. I got 1,200 of them. It was like one class had 300, another had 2. And I looked at her class list. She had fewer classes than we did.
Yeah, I know. Just keeping up. I think it's going to compound the teachers. They're going to, because we have like a schedule. So we have an hour window at the end of the day to basically do this sort of thing. But I can't imagine, and we talked about this, can't imagine giving anything really meaningful when your brain has been scrambled after what you've had to do during the day. Mm-hmm. So we thought of making a doc and just having some great one-liners that are a little bit more complicated and more socio-emotional, content driven. To like basically cut and paste and put in for students, and having like maybe 50 of them and kind of cycle through them and keep adding some and removing some, just so it gives kids a positive affirmation and it gives them something to work towards, and it makes us feel better that we can actually give some feedback rather than, yeah, great, yes, no, this, that, something really simple that I know they're going to get from a lot of teachers.
I'd call it a canned response list. So canned meaning that we have them pre-made, but a canned response usually has a negative connotation with it because it's usually curt and, a little abrupt sometimes. So I think that we could build something that has the SEL, the social emotional learning, associated with it, and be a little bit more productive with our feedback.
Yeah. Definitely lots of unknowns and not a lot of answers, but we're going to be hopefully
everything is unknown right now.
I think that ushers us into section 4 of this podcast. So we might not call it sections. We might just call it chapters. That's what season 3 is going to be about. We want to just
we'll work it out.
Throw a couple different things at you. Is the confusion of what to do with basically your schedule and what to do as a teacher in this this new school year where you have to wear many hats and many masks. Actually, a teacher of many masks. I have a mask for every single day of the week. And
I'm working on it. Yeah.
I wear it and I take it off and I wash my clothes. I get home, clothes completely off, mask off, put in a pile, going to be washed, into the shower, basically clean myself up, and not knowing if I came in contact with something, but just basically as a precaution, I'm going to do it that way.
Because if you're just tuning into us, like, we're taking this pretty serious.
Yeah.
Like this is a real thing, and we want to do what we do for a long time into the future, but we don't want to be limited and hampered by the health problems that come or associated with this virus. And unfortunately, you never know if it's going to be you that are in the percentile that asymptomatic or don't feel much more than a cold or flu. So yeah, we're taking it pretty seriously, and I'm going to work on. I want to have at least 3 masks per day.
Nice.
So because you build up a lot of humidity in there, and so we did have a podcast where we talked about strategies for staying safe with your PPE. I'm still working on it, like a sanitizing box or something for me to store them in. Right now I store them in the sunshine and hang them up.
In November, we both have a super heavy duty mask that we supported on Kickstarter that is going to be the ultimate with a magnetic eye shield on top. I mean, it's you can go to war with this thing.
Yeah, you go play paintball.
Yeah, and I just like this thing's we're ready for this sort of thing. But until then, it's going to be the cloth masks, the N95 masks. It's going to be just a lot of like switching things out, making sure we don't touch things after, just covering our steps basically.
Yeah, and I work in like I call it the STEM lab. So to go with it, I have a lab coat that I'm going to wear daily, sort of sanitize that probably once a week, but still have my clothes, wear them home, wash them every day, like come home, wash them right off. The lab coat will stay in the room as a way, like just a first defense. I plan on wearing some safety glasses, and the other STEM teachers said, because I was worried about that it would look a little too extreme, but they're like, with the lab coat and the face mask, you just look like you're in a laboratory.
You're Bill Nye all of a sudden.
I'm Bill Nye, and as long as I have a positive attitude and I'm not like really like, if I don't frighten the children, then I'll look the part and it'll be good. And that's kind of part of it, is like, speaking of Bill Nye, what did Bill Nye do? Like he sought to change the world through educating children. And he had a performer in him, and that's how he got people on his side. And that's what one of our suggestions is that you've got to be a performer to be in an educator role. Perhaps more so nowadays than in the days of old, but I think that it would have helped even then. But you've got to have a little bit of a performer gene in you. You and I both play music, you for a lot longer than I have, but like on stage, I've done presentations in front of people. Like I understand what it is to speak to a crowd, to, adjust to the crowd, play to the crowd that you're in front of, and things like that. So I think that's a big deal.
I think it's good that we get interested in that sort of, and get ourselves ready for this as if we're getting ready for a play that's going to last 9 months. And change daily, because our role is going to change daily, and we're a lot of teachers are gearing up for some behavior management, issues that may pop up, aside from the fact that they've got to take whatever curriculum they normally had and just strip it down to its core components and basically push that. Meanwhile, other teachers who've had time in the past, like we have band and string teachers that basically need to have a job as well, and they need to pull students out to have their time with them, which is
Yep.
taken away from an already shortened day
A
and
lot of people
shortened
don't
time
realize.
periods.
A lot of people don't realize how many other people are in the background here. Like there's
Yeah.
not just music teachers. There's all these other people. And we have to think about them all. But yeah, there's been some issues. Yeah.
There's so many things for that. And then everyone's going to become like a movie/video star, because
Yeah.
everyone's going to be in charge of their own classroom, their digital classroom. Everyone's going to be in charge of making videos. I don't know if there's going to be such oversight. They'll say that video wasn't that good, because I think there are going to be so many videos being made daily of just quick 1-minute snippets like you can make in Seesaw, like, hey, I'm going to read the directions to you, or this and that there's going to be a lot of bad videos. It's going to be the talking is not going to be well paced. Looking at the camera, right now, my cameras weren't right up top. It should be down lower, because my eyes I tend to go down lower. I think I'm looking at my tie the entire time. No, but it's that I got a 27-inch screen I'm looking at. But it's that, how do you have to plan yourself? We've gone through this process of like figuring out what lights work, cameras, microphones. I know, see? That doesn't work. No good. We got to have this light on.
Yeah, see, that if I just had, like even just one light difference, like, so I have two different, like I have a soft white and a cool white over here, because the balance of them, it's like, yeah, it's trial and error. We've done this for 6 months now. We've been making videos for 6 months, or at least I have, because, I threw myself into this. But like, yeah, you got to be a movie star, and I'm not, and I wasn't before. And that's one of the reasons why I was drawn to live instruction teaching, is that I feel confident. I totally feel comfortable in front of a room full of students, whether it's kids or adults. I've done from kindergarten through people in their 60s learning, and I was teaching them computers basically. So and I'm more comfortable in front of a room of 20 people than I am in front of a camera with an unknown number of viewers, which is sort of like if you do a YouTube video or things like that. But I adapted, and we've talked about that in other previous podcasts, is adapting to the environment. And you can't just stay sedimentary, and you've got to move forward, and that's part of it, being the video star. And so you've got to find that performer in you somewhere. Learn a little bit about the systems. Like, we're not going to regress anytime soon. We're not going back to camcorders and VHS. We've just, we've got to learn a little bit about this technology, and we've done a few podcasts about the technology aspect of that. And so from there, the only issues is just keeping up with the students. And just
that's like we talked about earlier. That's going to be, especially those that have you go, oh yeah, we know Seesaw, we know this, we know that, we've tried that before. They get 2 or 3 weeks, they're going to know about this, and they've already used it and found some loopholes around certain things, and they probably have a whole list of their canned responses as well. If you think about it, I mean, if they listen to this blog, they're gonna go, I'll make my own. There's gonna be two groups sending canned responses to each other, and it looks to both sides like, wow, they gave me such a good positive comment. They completely believed me. I can't believe that. And it's both sides.
And both sides are just like, yeah, I know what you're doing, so here's a canned response.
They're both dialing it in. It's like, it's horrible. And that's the thing. It's unfortunately, we don't want to lose that human content, that social thing that we need, that just kind of binds all humans together. But I think it puts UAs in a good spot where we actually can be more social with our students. We can actually contact them. We're going to see students twice a week. It was always once a week. So we're seeing them twice a week in person, then twice a week virtual. So we're keeping this kind of conversation going. This is different than we've had before.
That is actually, it was a lot to take at first, but like the amount of influence we can have in that amount of time is really big. We could really do some good work we could really be more than what we're used to, which is a once a week thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of cool. You know, you got to find what works. And in this case, sometimes there are benefits to this whole pandemic. I've talked about a few of them, and this is one of them. It's just, unfortunately, we only see them for 3 weeks, and then we don't see them again for the rest of that trimester, or quarter, or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting scenario. And like, for instance, your son, I don't have him in the first trimester, but the second one, and that's like, all right, that's cool. You know, like once I see him, we're going to be able to like have some really cool conversations for 3 continual weeks. And I know that he was super curious before, so like it's just going to be really cool to like see those super curious kids and keep feeding that curiosity for 3 straight weeks. So
on the other side, like you mentioned when we record this podcast the first time, if the students are in a UA they're not particularly fond of, they've got 12 of those classes basic compacted into 3 weeks that they're going to really not like.
I'm glad you mentioned that. That's right.
I know, I don't like art. Well, here's 12 classes you're not going to like.
Yeah, I know some kids just don't like STEM. I get it. I will try to make it as entertaining as possible for them, but yeah, that's true. That is a good point.
It's just going to be, but it's our way to just keep the amount of people that we see and trace basically as small as possible. And I know that's exactly how they're doing it. And actually, I even had the idea the other day that there's a reason why we're there 3 weeks early. And one of them is probably because it's 2 weeks for this virus to basically start showing symptoms.
Right.
So if they bring the teachers back in, they get to see how this plays out with all the teachers in the building. If the numbers go up like sky high, so they go, okay, if it kind of stays, if it starts moving up, well, the teachers are not listening to the proper hygiene, PPE, all this stuff.
Yeah.
If the numbers stay all right, great. Now we can start bringing in the student population, and then we can test for that. And I think it has to do with that. So say that after the first week, maybe they find out somebody's has it, and they go, okay, well then there's 2 weeks before it gets to spread. So it's basically a way to check each week if something's happened with the virus as well. So maybe that could have been part of their thing. Hopefully that was one of their ideas. I feel bad that
makes sense.
I'm a guinea pig. We're guinea pigs basically, but
yep. That's all right. I'd be all right. I'd rather send us in first than the kids or something, you know.
Yeah. Definitely that. Definitely that.
Absolutely, yeah.
So at the end of every show, we're going to have a closing. So Mr. Ritchie's going to help us with that. What did we talk about today?
We talked about a few things. We talked about, unfortunately, we had to start off with that the coronavirus is still alive and active, still 1.7 million plus in the world, new this last week, almost 300,000 in the United States, 150 in Maine. So we're still right in the throes of it. And we talked about some science news, hack at Tesla. That was the first person to fight HIV with their immune system. And Elon Musk debuted a pig with a Neuralink implant, which is... And we did talk about how going through puberty can help repair the body's stress response, and doesn't mean that the stress that you received as a child has to be a lifetime affliction. So that's pretty promising.
Which is a great thing. We talked about going back to school. That was a big thing, the workshops that happened. We've gone through the training we've done, the digital training, how some schools haven't finished it yet, so they have to extend their time, and how a lot of teachers are not really enjoying that, but we're kind of pacing ourselves digital first, then kind of get our curriculum together, then finally get our space together. I've been doing a little bit of both because I've been clearing up. I mean, I found books from a teacher in 2008, and the school wasn't even built until 2009.
Yeah.
that were in. So brought it in. I mean, there were some really old books from the 60s too that I don't think that were ever used, but I mean, the dust that I had on me was
Yeah.
really old dust. Probably had never been dusted. I'm just cleaning shelves off like crazy, making it completely new. But it's one of the big things that we had to do that. And then confusion about what to do, basically, and how to be a performer, we talked about. And we're all video stars now. I mean, we are video stars anyways. This is, I don't know, this is going to be our 8th or 9th vlog on YouTube, but this is 3rd season for us. If it's the podcast you're listening to, we're still doing a lot of talking, not a lot of visuals, because we're not moving over completely into video realm. We don't know if that's going to happen, but
we ran into our first big video issue last week, so now we're a little bit shy, like about jumping in too far with that program.
I don't know if that was something with the RAM or my computer was trying to run 2 different things.
Yeah.
I will say this. Anyone who is recording stuff out there, if you're in person with somebody, don't record on a webcam unless you have a really sleek computer, a lot of RAM, storage space, fast processor, something that can really handle that at the same time, as well as maybe a separate audio feed like I do. Record something on an SD card on your phone. Record from your phone or record on a dedicated camera, a nice vlogging camera, which we're hoping someday to both have. Do that. Don't do it on a webcam. If you're doing something like we're doing right now through Zoom, yeah, great webcam. You probably won't see much hiccups in the process. But yeah, streaming is one thing. Recording in time is a completely other thing that it doesn't seem to line up, and it at least doesn't work with me that well through my system.
It's tough. It's tough. And so, yeah, we thank you for listening out there or watching if that's what you're doing. We do have a Patreon if you'd like to help us out, help us get some new equipment so we don't have to run into these issues. It'd be great.
Yes.
We promise we're efficient and we'll do the most with what we can, the least basically. And
we might start a GoFundMe. I'm thinking looking into that, some way that a lot of teachers do this sort of thing, but basically we might promote it on here because there are a few things we'd love to really do this year, and we're kind of brainstorming that. And this week I think that might flesh out. So we may have some other ads coming up in the future, and especially if I get this free stuff and it actually works, then I definitely want to give a shout out to some companies that have been helping out.
We'll try it out. We'll test it out before we tell you to do it. All right. So we're putting his money on the line.
If it shows up in PayPal in a week, then it's good. If it doesn't, then we'll have some really bad reviews for you. Check out my Amazon page.
That's right.
I'm Mr. James.
And I'm Mr. Richie.
And we
are the educators.
Have a good night.